Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 2nd of August for the day of 891. Yeah, don't know why it's so difficult to say it. So anyway, there is still one frontline change after the frontline changes report. It's over in the Serbian forestry where the Ukrainian forces has been geolocated to be at around this location. So this means that the Ukrainian forces have actually taken some grounds back within the forest at the Serbian forestry. So is a big forest, no, and then there's a huge Russian lines behind of it. So we shall see how this develop. No, not super it's not insignificant, but it's also not very significant, because basically the Ukrainians are taking lines and grounds that he previously lost. So we go on to the strategy and tactical reporting as usual with the new norm. We go from the Kherson front. At the Kherson front, Russian forces continue to be reported to be attacking in the Dnipropetrovsk direction. There is geolocation of some guided missile strike over in Buhonka. I think it's Buhonka, right? Yeah, Buhonka. As well as Kozatsky that actually saw an X-38 missile hitting a Ukrainian position. So there is 2 strikes around here. Otherwise, we do not have any much of other reports. The Russian Defense Ministry did a summary report, the weekly, the whole week of summary. So there is no day report for the not much, only a little bit from the Russian Defense Ministry. So we move on to the Zaporizhia front. Over at the Zaporizhia front, at the Orikhiv sector, there is Russian attacks being reported towards Novoandreevka and Novodanilivka. Information coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So we still do not know what's the Russian plans over in the Zaporizhia front, other than the very fact that they have regrouped. They have regrouped to have the Dnieper group of forces concentrating on the Kayamsky and the Orikhiv sector, generally speaking, on top of the Kherson front. So it is a very small, very small front for such a huge force. So we just wait and see how this develops. Over at the Velika Novosilka sector, we have Ukrainian Defense Ministry continue to report Russians attacking towards Velika Novosilka direction. There is some geolocation of Ukrainian forces over in Uruzhaine and Novopil. These are this is a Lancet attack, and this is actually a deep-state UA geolocation of a Russian failed attempt to attack Ukrainian lines. So that's it from this area. There is no reports of fighting around this sector though, from the different sources. We move into the Donetsk, the other part of the Donetsk front in the Vodian Konstantinivka sector. Russian forces reportedly are still attacking towards Vodian. Ryba caught up with this information about the Russians attacking in the south of Konstantinivka, and there is report of fighting at Konstantinivka according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. At Vodian itself, there is explosion, some shelling by FPV drone on Ukrainian position, and that's about it from this area here. The Russians are still pushing in this area. Over in the Battle of Krasnohorivka, there is still fighting in the region. We do not know where the fighting is right now. There's no clear detailed reports, so we just have to wait. Nothing over in the Georgivka sector. We move on over in the southern flank of the Avdiivka front. Russian forces are attacking Yasnoborodivka. Nothing was reported about Kalivka. Further north, we have in the Pokrov direction, the Pokrov sector, Russian forces are attacking in the Novoselivka Persia region, as well as in the Zaleny region. The Russian forces have captured, according to Russian information, the entire line, all the different salients over here has all been captured by the Russian forces, and they have largely straightened the front line around here. Russian forces also make some progress over in the railway line region by attacking into Zeleny. This has been reported on the frontline changes report. The Russian forces is now able to launch attacks from 2 sides. So in the Zeleny region, the Russian forces basically have started to attack from the railway station over here, and they are now going to push in from the west. And the Russian forces, with this latest advancement, as per claimed by the Russian mapping, that they have taken this tree line, which then allows them to attack from the east or the northern part of Zeleny. However, geolocation is of an infantry fighting vehicle, a Bradley, got destroyed So this, not sure if this is dated. So there is a Ukrainian Bradley over here that was destroyed. So that we're not sure, when exactly, how relevant is this in reference to the current situation. Maybe it was destroyed and then the Russians overtook the position. We do not know. So this is a bit of a contradiction between the reported claim of where the line is and where the geolocated Ukrainian vehicle is. But it was destroyed. So it can't really be a strong evidence of the Russians are not there. A bit hard to tell right now. So but this is the latest information. This is what we can work on. So we shall see how this develops, whether that will be invalidated later. In the northern side, in the Ivanivka region, Russian forces have taken a few of these salients, at least south of Timofeyevka. This is based on Russian information, as well as in Ivanivka, in the south of Ivanivka. And then this information of Russians entering Ivanivka is now corroborated on the Russian side. The Russians also have corroborated the capture of Vasily. So Russian forces are strengthening the front line around here and allowing themselves to have more options on how to fight. So that's it from this area. We move into the northern flank, and the northern flank, Russian forces are still harassing Ukrainians over in Kalinove. They are fighting reported at Novoalexandrivka, Vodizenka. There's some small captures over in the north of Lozovatsky and in the Lysychny region, Timofeyevka region. This is already mentioned earlier. And so that's about it in the northern part of Avdiivka front. So this is the current latest situation. Over in the New York front, at the New York front, there is fighting reported still in New York. Russian forces have entered Torex for the first time based on the geolocation, and they have largely conquered all of the north and northwest of Zalizny. Russian forces are still being reported to be fighting in Pivnishny and also towards Torex, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So the Russians now is looking to make this very big push here. Since they have broken the line and they are entering into Torex, they may try to capture as much ground as possible, especially into the forest, and then and see how this build up. So, and there is another situation that is developing is these two ends is scary, because if these two meets or close up the line, let's say with the Russians taking this area and going down this road, the entire Ukrainian forces that is defending along this heavy fortification east of New York may be encircled. And so I'm not sure how the Ukrainians are going to react to this potential situation. I believe they will send a lot of forces to plug this hole, particularly stopping the Russian forces over in New York, as well as preventing any possible incursions out of Zalizny towards New York. Because if they go towards New York and engage into a pincer on New York, for the north-south pincer, that is also going to be disastrous in such an attack. So this is also going to be disastrous, because the forces in Zalizny will be able to deal with the reinforcement that the Ukrainians are sending, and then the forces inside New York will have an easier time to push through the urban regions. So this is also a bad thing for the Ukrainians right now. If I zoom in, it'll be a bit clearer. So Russian forces now, most likely they have already taken most of Zalizny, most likely. So there is just this open road down, and if they push through this road and engage in Nelipivka, then Ukrainian reinforcement will be stuck. They will not be able to go through into New York, and they have to go another round, which is further, and then the Russians will have an easier time to break through the urban areas on the western sector of the western half of New York. And if they also enter into Nelipivka from the south, if the Ukrainians are unable to hold up this position, because they are ultimately on the eastern part of Kryvyi Torex River, they need to have another force reinforcing coming from the west. And if this fails, Russian forces meet at Nelipivka, then the entire force here is operationally encircled. So that will be a disastrous situation, and they will have to do some very heroic operation to basically crush the Russians in certain points, some weak spots where they can actually punch through in the withdrawal. So this is a pretty something to be concerned about. Of course, this is still a bit of a distance. We are talking about the front line still being almost 4 kilometers apart. So it's not far, but it's also not that near. So we shall see how this goes. This is how this is going to develop around this area here. We move into the Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, the concentration of fighting is mainly over in this Chasivya and Klishevka region. We're fighting reported at Klishevka, Ivaniske, and Chasivya. So the Russians have entered into the district of Zotseve. So we shall see how this goes. The Russians seems very determined to prove me wrong, that because I say that it's stupid to go into Chasivya, and they want to prove me that they are stupid. I mean, they are going to prove that I'm stupid. So anyway, we shall see how this goes. Yeah, there are some comments saying that maybe the reason is because the Ukrainians have left the city of Chasivya very weakly defended, and that is a possibility. As I mentioned before, any front, a lot of front line are just distractions. But the thing is, even if you know that they are diversions, they are distractions, if you don't defend them, the Russians can make a break, and it would devolve into a major offensive, and you don't really want that to happen. So this kind of diversionary operations can be very disturbing, and it's very irritating. It's like mosquitoes. The mosquito can't kill you, but if you don't slap it, maybe the mosquito will give you some virus and you die. So is that kind of situation. So over at Sivas, the Russian forces are attacking in Verkhovno-Okanyamske, Ivano-Darivka, Vimka, as well as Perezny. So this is the current situation over in the Sivas front. Pretty much the same, because there's no intel drop. We do not know what is the latest line looks like, because the lines in the last few drops are all pretty crazy. So maybe I'm anticipating something crazy as well in the next intel drop. In Perezny, however, we do have the geolocation of Russian forces over at this position by Crimea Caprice, confirming Russian positions around here. So this basically corroborates where the Ukrainians actually draw their front line as well. So that's it from this Sivas front. We move into the Crimea front. At the Crimea front, Russian forces allegedly is attacking or shelling Krykorivka. They are also attacking in Toske. Ukrainian forces captured some ground, as mentioned in the frontline changes report, over in the Serbianske forestry, which means that there must be some Ukrainian offensive that is not reported within the Serbianske forestry, which the Russians clearly will defend for now, because as much as positive as it looks like for the Russians, if they don't defend, it's the same situation as the one that Ukrainians are facing. It becomes extremely difficult to defend Crimea. So the line, this heavy entrenchment region, this line must hold. If not, Crimea, will be super difficult to defend. There's too much forest around here. The Russians, the Ukrainians can just go anywhere and just ninja everywhere. So it will be very complicated for the Russians to defend. Over in the Makiivka Nevsky region, Russian forces are also attacking in these two regions. As usual, it's pretty much like a tradition almost. They always attack in this area, but there's almost always no frontline changes. Very, very little frontline changes around this area. So we move into the Svetove front. At the Svetove front, surprisingly quiet. We only have fighting reported in Stemakivka, and that's about it for this Svetove front region. We move into the Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, there is no reports of fighting at Sinkivka. Surprisingly, there's only one report of fighting towards Novosinove, according to the Russian Defense Ministry in one of their bricked up reports. So talking about this attack towards Novosinove. It's not Novosinove, it's Novosinove. So that's about it from this Kupiansk front. Moving into the Happy front. At the Kharkiv front, we have the usual. The Russian forces are attacking at Taike, Voschansk, as well as Klipoke. So this is the three locations the Russians are attacking. Nothing significant to talk about. Russian forces continue to TOS striking Taike, and near Ternova there is a Russian airstrike. So this basically is about it known about the Kharkiv front. There is a lot of some other geolocations of Lancet strikes and whatnot further into the rear positions of the Ukrainian side, which I don't think is meaningful to report, because it's somewhere in the rear positions. So anyway, that's about it in the Kharkiv front. Nothing over at the border regions. So that's it. So this is the summary for the day of 891 for the 2nd of August. Press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.